All right, good evening. It's the Fantasy Sports Boss for Monday Fantasy Football Live. Right off the top of the bat here, some breaking news. San Francisco 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell does have an MCL sprain, and it's a serious one. He's out 6 to 8 weeks, so Elijah Mitchell's finished. So second time this season he's had an MCL injury, and he's now finished for the season. So Jordan Mason now becomes a major person of interest in terms of backing up Christian McCaffrey, who himself has a knee irritation. So if we're looking ahead to Wednesday waivers, Jordan Mason needs to be somebody that we prioritize along with Zonovan of the New York Jets as two guys, and even Kyron Williams if he's still available, as all of a sudden now we have some running backs that could gain some fantasy football value, as we're here sitting here now in week 13. All right, so again, like I do before any show, if you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe, hit the notification button, and also bop the like button for me. I'm going to go over all the injuries today, the updates, I should say, the injury updates, and that's a big one right there with Elijah Mitchell. So if you were holding stock with Elijah Mitchell, you can cut him loose because he's going to miss now the next 6 to 8 weeks. That literally just came down with an MCL sprain, and this guy's had just constant knee injuries. I don't know if it's his running style, what it is, but now Mason is going to be the handcuff to own, with McCaffrey always having his own injury issues as well. So going to go over that. We also have to look ahead just slightly to week 14. Bye Mageddon, that's what I'm calling it, as 6 teams are on a bye in the final regular season of the fantasy football season. So, if you really need to if you need to win to get in next week, week 14, you better start planning now, because with 6 teams, and there's some big names among these 6 teams, we're going to go over that. It could be a really tough sledding week 14, filling out your roster. So we're going to go over that. Of course, you can submit your questions and comments in the chat. We'll go over that as well. And, all that good stuff. So we did double stream yesterday. It was really, I enjoyed chatting with you guys both in the morning and yesterday evening. And yes, I had the misfortune of going against Josh Jacobs in one of my leagues. I got my ass beat, doors blown in, whatever you want to call it. And the real kicker was I had a very good week on this particular fantasy team, and I would have beaten everybody else except for my opponent, who had not only Josh Jacobs, but Justin Herbert, Chris Godwin, Nick Chubb. I mean, I didn't even stand a chance. George Cook, how you doing? You're the first one in. Miles Sanders, raw dog, my whole team last night. Yeah, Miles Sanders, 31 fantasy points. My goodness. And he even started catching passes. He caught 3 passes yesterday. I'm going to go over that game. That's probably a good place to start. I'm only up 1, and my opponent has Pittman Jr. Which defense tonight can give me the best chance to win? Can play Steelers or Colts? I would say the Colts. Colts have a fairly decent defense. So that's the better option there. And I think, they have the chance to be in the lead, and then they can tee off on Kenny Pickett. And Pickett's going to have more of a proclivity to throw interceptions than does Matt Ryan, although Matt Ryan really hasn't been great this season. But yeah, that Eagles game yesterday, Jalen Hurts is continuing to break fantasy football. There's no slowing him down. Ran like an absolute madman yesterday. And this is what you want Lamar Jackson to be doing, but he's not doing right now. But Hurts is, and he has been beyond unbelievable this season. And it really has helped mask his running, has helped mask the disappointing stretch for A.J. Brown, who, while he did catch a touchdown, also lost a fumble and I believe had 12 fantasy points. And for me, for your fantasy wideouts, I think, 15 is usually for me the line of demarcation, 15 and up from a good to very good outing, 15 and more. Below 15, it's average to below average. And, 12, it's just not going to cut it for me. And A.J. Brown over the last month really hasn't been great. I know he's been sick. He had that 1.7 point outing. Devontae Smith is out targeting him now over the last month. So I don't know if it's more coverage is rolling his way ever since Dallas Goedert went out injured. I don't know what it is, but A.J. Brown, who certainly can pop off at any given moment, has not been great lately. Miles Sanders, if you look at the totality of Miles Sanders' season, he's been very good, very underrated. He's been now catching the football a little bit more than he did earlier on in the season. Of course, you always have to worry about Jalen Hurts calling his own number around the red zone there. But, listen, both guys, both Hurts and Miles Sanders were matchup winners last night, so to speak. Now, as far as the Packers are concerned, Aaron Rodgers says he felt better today. He had a whole bunch of tests on today. No update in terms of the results. They fear possibly broken ribs. If Jordan Love does become the quarterback next week, I feel okay with Christian Watson, not so much Alan Lazard and Robert Tonyan. I think I don't play either one of those guys. Same thing with Randall Cobb. A.J. Dillon had a decent game. So he scored a touchdown. He looked spry for the first time really all season. Aaron Jones caught a touchdown pass. Would like to have seen him a little bit more involved, but you're queuing up Jones, Dillon, and Christian Watson if Jordan Love starts next week. As a Packers fan, the game is brutal. Hopeful it's Jordan Love's season next. Yeah, you know what? That was tough, George. You know, they got to get a look at Jordan Love. I know the Rodgers is signed for the next couple of years. He's probably not going anywhere, but maybe they could see, you know, I don't know what the contract situation with Love is. Is he a free agent at the end of the season? I don't think so. I think he might have one more year to go, but maybe they can get something for him if he plays well. I start A.J. Brown and Higgins every week as safe to flex Jamal Williams over Mike Evans. Now, yeah, it looks like it. Jamal Williams is, you know, he's scoring touchdowns every week. Mike Evans, meanwhile, just doesn't look healthy. He actually looks old to me. And, you know, sometimes the drop-off comes real quick. It comes almost overnight for some guys. And Mike Evans has been very durable throughout his entire career. And, you know, maybe it's now just hitting him this season that all those years of playing through injuries, and he has always played through injuries. He's very, I don't remember a time where he's missed games as he reeled off all those 1,000-yard seasons. And maybe now that wear and tear is starting to show up on him. You know, Keenan Allen, same thing. When these receivers turn 30, that's when the trouble starts with injuries. Packers defense just so bad. Get 40 dropped them in and give up almost 400 on the ground. Yeah, the run defense is just pathetic. Is that a fireball? Yo, Joe back. I think they're going to clean out the entire coaching staff, George. I think the whole staff is going to go for sure. And they deserve to. It was just a piss poor performance. And it really has been like that for the majority of the season. So I wanted to discuss the Bye-Mageddon that's coming. So listen to this. So I talked about this way back in the preseason. I don't think it really got that much attention, but 6 teams on the bye in week 14. Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, and Washington Commanders. So let's take this one by one. In a week where you may need to win to get in, you have no Cordell Patterson, no David Montgomery or Justin Fields. You have no Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon or Christian Watson or Alan Lazard or Aaron Rodgers maybe. No Jonathan Taylor, no Michael Pittman. No Alvin Kamara, no Juwan Johnson, and no Chris Olave. And then you have no Brian Robinson, who's been really broke out last week, no Antonio Gibson, and no Terry McLaurin or Curtis Samuel. Those are a lot of big names that are going to be out of commission on week 14 when, again, you may need to win your matchup to get in. So I strongly suggest you look ahead. You know, ordinarily you don't want to do this, but for some reason, all these teams are on buys in week 14. Really not ideal from a fantasy perspective. I know for myself, I'm an Aaron Jones owner, so I'm going to have to work through that. Luckily, I have Tony Pollard that I can plug in to fill in, and I have Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette. But, you know, I did the Alvin Kamara crisis point video earlier today. Make sure you check that out. Is Kyren going to be a lead back? Akil, I think he's going to be the lead back this week. And he really was. You know, he out-touched Cam Akers. I think the Rams are done with Cam Akers. I think they're intrigued by Kyren Williams. And, you know, truth be told, he didn't run the ball that great, but he can catch the football. That's a dimension that Cam Akers doesn't bring to the table. So I think Kyren Williams is somebody as a flex you could queue up this week. There's no reason for the Rams not to do this. You know, they really just need to get a look at this kid before the offseason commences. You know, no Allen Robinson, no Matthew Stafford, no Cooper Kupp. It's going to be ugly the rest of the season, but at least they could take the opportunity, see what Kyren Williams can do for them. Is Kelsey is leap, but why is his target share slow? I think it was just a for the game, George. I don't think it's anything to read into it. Kelsey is a man among boys, among tight ends, and that includes Mark Andrews this season. Mark Andrews, other than that big start to the season, once the injury started to hit and the offense in general for Baltimore has really struggled, he hasn't been that good. And Kelsey, once again, reaffirming his status as the tight end one. So Melvin Gordon signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, I did a little blurb about this earlier in the day. You know, I mean, it's, and they also signed Brian Edwards. I think this is just the Chiefs protecting themselves, bringing in depth. There's really no downside to this. You know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out for however many more weeks. Isaiah Pacheco ran well yesterday. He's ran well the last couple of weeks. He scored a touchdown. You know, he even added one reception. Does Melvin Gordon get into a game? Possibly. Jerick McKinnon's still there to play on third downs. I don't know. But, I wouldn't run out to grab Melvin Gordon. Nobody picked him off waivers for a reason. So that just tells you all you need to know about what the league thinks of Gordon. So I think, again, this is just a hedge to add depth just in case something were to happen to Isaiah Pacheco. Kamara has a bad play script or is just going downhill. Michael P., I think he's going downhill. So he's 27 years old. He was fairly solid for the first, 2/3 of the season. But when you are an older back, the longer the season goes, that's when you start to decline a little bit. And look at Derrick Henry. He hasn't been good. His yards per carry has really sunk the last couple of weeks. We had that long reception that he ultimately fumbled into the end zone, recovered by Treylon Burks. But he wasn't great yesterday either. Once they hit 27-28, and when the offseason comes, I'm going to post all these videos of lessons that we learned this season that we need to take into drafts next season. And that is, to avoid Alvin Kamara everywhere, because he's probably going to have a suspension given to him for that incident, punching out that guy in the hotel, the hallway there by the elevator. And he's going to be another year older. He's going to be 28 years old, a lot of wear and tear, maybe not a lot of tread left on these tires. So I'm out on Kamara completely. I don't care who the quarterback is next season. I'm not going near him. And running backs that are 27 and older, Austin, you could throw Austin Eckler at me, but Eckler did not have a very high touch totals the first few years of his career. So I think he's the exception, whereas Kamara right out of the bat was a high usage guy. I'm not going near running backs that are 27, 28 years old next season either. Are you worried about Gibson? Not really worried. In terms of Brian Robinson taking more carries, I think Gibson has his role, it's 10 to 12 touches. I think that's good enough to be a flex in PPR leagues. In standards, you got to keep him on the bench. But he still has some value, Ed. I wouldn't go out and drop him. Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter, or James Robinson. I say Zonovan Knight. Even Ty Johnson scored. The Jets have a lot of running backs right now, but I did a little bit on Zonovan Knight earlier. He can catch the football. He showed that yesterday. He's got some, they call him Bam Knight because he runs with good power, good pad level. He's not overly fast. He's not going to break a lot of big ones, but he's going to run over players. He's going to fall forward. He's going to make hay around the goal line. So I think Zonovan Knight is somebody who should be picked up off waivers. And there's another running back that now all of a sudden is gaining some fantasy value as this playoffs are approaching. Damian Harris did not practice today with a thigh injury. So it looks like that Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the bell cow. I love Ramondre Stevenson. I've said it all year. I think he's a top 7 fantasy running back. I think even next season, he could even be a top 5. Mike P, as far as Travis Etienne, it looks like he's going to be good to go. No need to run out and get Jermichael Hasty. I know Darrell Henderson will be up with the team next week. The thing is, too, with Etienne, he was cleared to return back to that game. We had the foot injury, but the Jags just played it safe there. They didn't want to, they didn't want to expose him to any possible further injury there. So I think that was they were just being proactive there. I'm sorry about the barking dogs, guys. My wife, I think, just got home, and you know how that goes. Anybody that has dogs. Kicking myself, I didn't trade A.J. Brown and Dameon Pierce for CMC and CeeDee Lamb at my trade deadline. I don't think you got to kick yourself for that. A.J. Brown, he's going to be fine. CMC's got some knee issues right now. I don't know how serious that is. But the thing with Dameon Pierce is that the Texans keep falling so far behind so early in games that it's just a very bad script. I do think that he does have he's hitting the rookie wall. I've said that many times already, and I don't like the rest of the season outlook for Dameon Pierce. I cancel. Yeah, you could cancel that, Michael. You don't need Hasty. And even also, if Etienne were to be out, Darrell Henderson's going to be up, and he's going to get carries as well. How should CMC treat him going forward? CMC, I think he'll be fine. No Elijah Mitchell now. He's out for the rest of the season. So I think CMC will be fine. We just want to make sure that this knee issue, whatever irritation he suffered, is okay. Top defensive stream for week 13. I haven't really looked that closely yet. It's a little early in the week for me to be looking at that. I will let you know about that one later in the season. I tell you what, though, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is playing really well. Elijah Moore, boom bust situation. He's definitely Akil. He's definitely fantasy relevant. I called it before the week. I said Mike White has a rapport with Elijah Moore. I know it was only 2 catches, but they were 2 big ones, one down the field, one to score the touchdown. He loves Elijah Moore. He hooked up with him for a touchdown in the Indianapolis game last season. I believe also the Cincinnati game. Moore is going to be cooking pretty good, I think, in the next couple of weeks. How should we treat CMC? Yeah, I think CMC will be just fine. No need to worry about him. Pierce is a good matchup against Browns. Yeah, I mean, Miami's defense is pretty bad too, but don't forget Deshaun Watson is going to be back, and I think that the Browns could jump ahead real early in this one and make it fairly ugly again. And they're going to go back to Kyle Allen. So I'm not liking Dameon Pierce. Debating playing Packers D against the Bears Sunday despite the performance. I don't think Justin Fields is going to play again this week. I don't see any reason for the Bears to rush him just because of his, the season's going nowhere. Why put the guy out there to get injured again? I don't see it. So if it's Trevor Siemian, all right, I could see using the Packers D, although they've been just horrendous this season. Would you count on the Chiefs defensive players? Pretty good schedule. Yes, I would. The Chiefs defense is actually playing really well. I like Dallas defense. Certainly the Eagles. The Eagles have had a cake schedule pretty much throughout the season. They're one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. You think Mike White could be a pickup or risky? He's risky. Listen, he's playing the Bears. Yes, it was in the rain, but that Bears defense is just beyond pathetic. It really is. I think he could in Superflex League. Is he worth picking up? I guess I wouldn't run out playing him yet, Mike P. I just want to see how he does against Minnesota. And then he's got Buffalo after that. So I don't like that matchup. I believe when he played the Bills last year, he got picked off 4 times. So I'm not too keen on that one. Josh Allen was a full participant in practice today. So it looks like the elbow is not going to be a thing going forward. Michael Carter has a low ankle sprain. So Robert Saleh said he's day-to-day, could miss this week. That puts Zonovan Knight and, Ty Johnson in the driver's seat for touches. Maybe Zonovan Knight comes out on top in terms of who gets the most carries. Hey, Erwin, how you doing, bud? So Darnell Mooney out for the season with the ankle injury. It looked bad when it happened. And that's another reason, too, for Justin Fields. You got to be concerned. So no Darnell Mooney. He's got Cole Kmet still. But, I mean, this Byron Pringle, I mean, there's really nobody for Fields to throw to. So for myself, I'm a double Fields owner, also a double Lamar Jackson owner. I'm going with Jackson again this week. Joe Mixon still in concussion protocol. So, it's early in the week. He's got a lot of time to get cleared. Yeah, Pringle, I know, right? Give me a break, Byron Pringle. But it's a little concerning that Mixon is still in the concussion protocol. I'm not sure how bad the concussion was. P. Ryan did the job. Samaje P. Ryan, 2 weeks in a row now, he's scored 4 total touchdowns the last 2 weeks. So he's definitely getting the job done, P. Ryan. So, if you have him and Mixon misses another game, you roll with P. Ryan again. J.K. Dobbins designated to return. I'm not interested in J.K. Dobbins. Maybe next year I'll revisit this. Jameson Williams, not likely going to play week 13 for Detroit. So maybe week 14, we could look at that. Kadarius Toney day-to-day with the hamstring. I think the bigger thing with Kadarius Toney is if he does return and play, then Sky Moore is not going to have any value. Sky Moore is starting to finally make his way into the offense, contributing a little bit. And, nothing outrageous, nothing that makes you want to run out and pick him up. But, at least he's doing something. Stream Chiefs versus Rams. Also have Patriots on roster. Want to stream Cleveland versus Texans. Yeah, I would play Cleveland against Texans for sure. They can get after the quarterback. The Kyle Allen is just beyond, he can't even really classify him as an NFL quarterback. So I definitely would do that. Jamar Chase is expected to return to the Chiefs this week. So a couple of things on Chase. Is he going to have a snap count? I don't know. Like I said, this was a serious injury that he came back from. So are they going to handle him with kid gloves? They have T. Higgins, who's playing really well. They have Tyler Boyd, who hasn't been playing well, but Hayden Hurst has picked up the slack as well. So they have options in the passing game. There's no need to rush him. This is a huge game against the Chiefs. And if Chase is going to be able to come back with a bang, this is a team to do it against because the Bengals are going to have to pass a lot to keep up with Kansas City. So is it possibly comes back and plays a full allotment of snaps? Yes. I think they could be a little cautious with him, but you have to play him. If you have Jamar Chase and you've been waiting this whole time, you have to play him. So, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Tristan Wirfs is going to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury, so more injuries along the Tampa Bay offensive line. Not what you want to see if you're a Tom Brady owner in Superflex leagues. Certainly not what you want to see if you own Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White. And, we got to see what the deal is with Leonard Fournette. Is he going to come back and sabotage Rachaad White's, growing fantasy football value? That's what I'm concerned about as a Rachaad White owner. I also own Fournette, but I'd be fine with not seeing Fournette again the rest of the season. Really love your content, boss. Thanks a lot for all the updates and live streams as always. Thank you, Grind. Don't stop. And I won't stop. So don't worry. I'm going to be on it throughout the off season too. Mark Engelson, how you doing? Glad to see you here. And yeah, guys, that's the thing too. Once the off season comes, there's going to be a lot of videos still covering the NFL draft. Daily videos on draft prospects. I'm going to go way deep. I'm going to probably profile over 300 different prospects from now until the draft, and that will help later on in fantasy when fantasy starts. Because, like for example, Kyren Williams, if I had the channel going during the NFL draft season, you could have went to the search box on my channel, looked up Kyren Williams, and then you could have read my report on him, and you would have known that he's a supreme pass catcher. He's a decent runner. And that would help you going forward. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to cover the Hot Stove League, all the free agent signings, how that impacts fantasy, all those things as well, mini camps. So there's going to be a lot of videos, a lot of content throughout the offseason, including streams. So I'll check in with you guys and do some streams as well. The NFL Combine, that's going to be, I'm going to probably live stream for that. The draft, I'm going to live stream for the entire draft. So make sure you're here for that one as well. I'm going to do a full first round draft at the very least, live stream for that. Keep Kyren Williams or stash JK. I would keep Kyren Williams. I'm done with JK. I'm not interested anymore. I don't think it's going to, I think that ship has sailed at least for this season. Just offered Ayuk for Monty. You think I should make the trade? I have Connor, CPAT, Damian Pierce, Rachaad White. For IOCs, I have CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Burks, and Brandon Cooks. I think you should keep Ayuk. Ayuk's really good. Monty, he's getting a lot of work now. You have Connor who's playing well. Rachaad White, who I think he's going to be good the rest of the way. I get you're concerned about CPAT and Damian Pierce, but if you can have, CeeDee Lamb with Ayuk, I think CeeDee Lamb dropping down to Wilson is a little bit too steep of a drop. So I'm not liking that. Somebody offered you Ayuk. I would do that. I would trade Monty for Ayuk. I like Ayuk quite a bit. And again, Samuel was good. Deebo Samuel was good week 11, but he went back to taking a back seat in week 12. So, I'm still not very bullish on Deebo Samuel the rest of the season. And quite honestly, going back to the summer, I had him down as a bust. So, I'm not, I still don't think him. Thank you, Erwin. I appreciate that. I'm not really keen on Deebo Samuel the rest of the season. So Deshaun Watson officially reinstated from the 11-game suspension. So this is going to be a must-watch game. And certainly he has a soft landing with the Texans. And you know what? The Texans. It makes you wonder whether the NFL, having a sense of humor here to allow his suspension to end on the day he's going to face the Texans. Obviously he played for the Texans his first, however many years in the league. I don't know if that was the NFL trying to having ratings in mind to have Watson come back to face the Texans. Not sure. I think that's kind of in poor taste if that's what they did. I'm not going to get into all the shenanigans that went on and off the field with Watson. He's got some problems for sure. But at least from a fantasy football perspective, he is a slam dunk top 5-6 fantasy quarterback. And next season, when I talk about those dual threat quarterbacks that I want to get my hands on, you got to add Watson to that. So you have Allen, Mahomes, Watson, Hurts, Jackson, and Fields. So that's 6 guys right there, half of a 12-team league, that you can get one of those dual threat quarterbacks. I'm absolutely making sure I get one of them. One of those 6 guys will be my fantasy quarterback next season. Traded Mecole Hardman and James Robinson for Garrett Wilson. Great trade. Absolutely great trade, Elias. That is a great trade. Garrett Wilson, I got to admit, I was a little surprised how not doubting the talent on Garrett Wilson, but just that Mike White and him got on the same page so quickly. Because I thought Elijah Moore would lead them in receptions. Moore still had an impactful fantasy game, but I didn't see Wilson popping off the way he did. That's for sure. All right, how long have you been doing this YouTube stuff, boss? So I've been doing it for about 4.5 months. Started in the summer. Really, it grew very quickly, and I owe a lot of that to Taysom Hill. That Taysom Hill video was like the first one that really took off. When I recommended him as a cheat code in the summer, and then he, had a huge first couple of games there. And I used to do, I had my website for 15 years, got tired of doing that. It was very tedious, laborious stuff. So then I figured, let me do the stream. Let me go over to YouTube, and it grew very quickly. And here we are, over 1,000 subscribers, making good revenue through, Google AdSense. So the revenue has been very good. People are generous with the donations, with the super chats, and the PayPal donations. So, and all that money is going right back into the channel when I do my draft guides and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff coming. My NFL prospect draft guide is going to come out at the end of January, maybe beginning of February. So, I'll sell that on here as well. I'll put up a PayPal tab that you can buy that, and I'll ship it directly to you. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming, and I'm very proud so far. And I know a lot of you guys have been in the chat most of the season. I really appreciate that. Brian Williams or Kyren Williams in flex. I got to go Brian Williams just because he's proven himself more than Kyren Williams. And I think it seemed like week 12, Brian Williams finally figured it out as an NFL runner, fully knocked off the rust. Learned how to, maybe read defenses a little bit better than he was when he first came in. That awful incident, him getting shot, really kind of set back his progress over the summer. It's hard enough as a rookie coming in, but then to have that happen to you, I applaud the kid for coming back as strongly and as quickly as he did. And he was impressive. And the thing is, too, he caught a touchdown pass. He has skills as a receiver. I know Antonio Gibson is kind of primarily handling that aspect of things, but Robinson can catch the football. He did it at Alabama the one year he was a starter. I believe he had over 30 receptions, or at least over 20 receptions, so he can catch the football. That was not a fluke. What about a healthy Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray, you know what, Mark, you could add him to that, so that's 7. I'm not a fan of Kyler Murray, so I'm not going to own him. I can tell you that right now. I think he tends to fade as the season goes on. Yesterday notwithstanding, injuries become a problem as the season goes on because he's a smaller quarterback. I don't like his attitude, so I would have him like ranked 7th, and then I would take Justin Herbert over him. So I would have Herbert 7th, and Herbert does a little bit of running. I'd probably have Murray 8th, and then Joe Burrow 9th, or maybe interchange those guys. So I definitely want to get one of those 9, failing to get the top 6 guys that I mentioned, the dual threat options. But certainly Murray is a dual threat guy. Thoughts on Dalvin Cook? I drafted my first pick at high hopes of him. Listen, you could add Dalvin Cook to Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry. Aging backs. Looks like he's lost a step. Kevin O'Connell is from the Sean McVay tree where they don't throw a lot of passes to the running back. So I won't knock him too much for that, not catching a lot of passes. I think that's just the design of the offense. But I think, and I don't know, how old is Dalvin Cook? I would assume he's 26 or older. And so that becomes the danger zone. And remember, he's had a lot of wear and tear on his legs as well because he was a star. He's 27. So Dalvin Cook, there you go again. Alvin Kamara 27, Dalvin Cook 27. Both guys showing signs of slippage. Derrick Henry is definitely showing signs of slippage the last couple of weeks. And that's going to be one of the commandments that I follow next season. I'm not drafting a 27 and older running back. That will be Joe Mixon next season. And, really, if you take out that one smash game that Mixon had, he hasn't been very good. He was averaging less than 4 per carry leading into that game. I know he went crazy, but, he hasn't really been that good. So that's another guy, 27 next year. Austin Eckler also. But I think, I mentioned with Austin Eckler that earlier in his career, he did not have those very high um, you know, uh, touch campaigns like a Dalvin Cook did, like an Alvin Kamara did. Juwan Johnson with the donut. Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. That 49ers defense is legit. They're absolutely legit. I'm just trying to see with Dalvin Cook. So Dalvin Cook, I mean, listen, he's averaging 4.7 a carry. That's actually really good. I didn't think it was that high. He was 4.7 last year, 4.7 this year. He was 5.0 in 2020. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he hasn't been good, but 4.7 is actually really good. The targets are way down. 27 catches. He's gone for as high as 53. Maybe Cook has actually been a little bit better than we think, but the touchdowns certainly are down. That's true. Should I drop DeSean Jackson to stash Steelers D next week against Atlanta? I have JT. Yeah, you could. I mean, DeSean Jackson is really not not worth holding on to. He could have had a touchdown. Lamar Jackson threw him a nice pass and wasn't able to score there. So you mean the backup running back? Yeah, you could do that if you have JT. I'm sorry, I saw Dean Jackson. I was seeing DeSean Jackson. But you know what? As a Lamar Jackson owner, there were 3 different drop touchdown passes. Mark Andrews dropped one, Demarcus Robinson dropped one, and really DeSean Jackson, if he didn't trip over his own feet, he would have scored. So Lamar Jackson really should have had a better day than he did. Should I roster Alexander Mattison heading into the playoffs? Yeah, you might as well. Anything happens to Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison is going to be a really, really good, impactful back. Picked up Deshaun Watson in week 10. Traded Foreman for Amari Cooper and Burrow. For Brian Robinson and Michael. Team is stacked with Kelsey, Italian, AJ Brown. Yeah, I mean, Akil, I thank you for the positive feedback there. But yeah, your team is definitely stacked. I'm glad I was able to help you out there on week 2 winning since the Cooper trade. Good. Yeah, Cooper's been good. Very good. Nobody talks about Amari Cooper. He's kind of like that boring veteran that nobody really wants to acknowledge, but he's been fantastic. Gene Jackson. Yeah, I figured out what you meant. Yeah, you could drop him. JT looks like he's going to be fine. Actually gambled with Dalvin Cook pick, had Kamara Mixon on my radar with the first pick. Yeah, you see all those guys. I'm out. I'm out on all those guys. I'm out on Cook next year. I'm out on Kamara next year. I'm out on Mixon next year. Want nothing to do with any of those guys. And I know Saquon Barkley's going to be 26 next year, but him too. He's barely played, his 3rd and 4th year in the league. So I'm fine with Saquon Barkley next season. Tony droppable. Oh yeah, definitely. Kadarius Toney is absolutely droppable. There's no reason to hold on to him. The guy is just a complete bum. He's always hurt, the hamstring. I just don't understand how a young athlete can constantly have all of these hamstring injuries. It just makes no sense to me. It's you would think he'd be a better conditioned athlete being in the NFL, but it's just on and on constant leg, soft tissue injuries. Who's your first overall next year? That's a good question. I would say first, I'm going to say Justin Jefferson. If I had the first pick next year, I'm taking Justin Jefferson. And I thought of doing that this year, and I've always been the guy who takes a receiver in the first round because of the much lessened injury risk. Running back has been an injury nightmare, not as much this season, but the 2 years prior to that, especially in 2021, it was a horror show. All the early first round running backs got hurt. And if you're a first round pick gets hurt, you're pretty much screwed. Now, I know you can say Cooper Kupp, that's fine. But, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson have all held up, and they've all been great. So, and Tyreek Hill, same thing. So I'm going Justin Jefferson, number 1. Kamara will be gone. Despicable human. Yeah, Kamara's got some issues for sure. Justin Fields probably not going to be running as much when he gets back. So you think I should keep Monty and waive the Ayuk trade? It's possible. I mean, listen, part of what makes Justin Fields is the run option. So I know the Bears are going to be a little leery not to get him injured, especially the rest of the season. So if you are a little gun shy and you think you need to hold on to Montgomery, I totally understand that, Erwin. I'm hoping that Fields will come back and still run the ball as much as he has in the past, but I'm not sure about that. I think the coaching staff is a little scared to do that just because he had the separated shoulder Luckily, it was his non-throwing shoulder, but they owe it to Fields not to get him injured or seriously injured, because next season they're going to expect another step up. And, honestly, Trevor Lawrence is figuring it out too. But to this point, you could say Justin Fields is the best quarterback in that draft class, with Zach Wilson, Mac Jones. Jones certainly has played well. He's had his moments. Trevor Lawrence, I think long-term will be the best. I still think Lawrence is going to wind up being the best one. I really do. I think the Urban Meyer thing really, really messed with him, really kind of stunted his growth. And it was hard for any young player to have to deal with all that nonsense that went on there. So I think long-term Lawrence is still the guy, but Justin Fields has turned out better than even I predicted, because I was a little lukewarm on him coming out of college because I didn't like his accuracy. I didn't like his ability to read defenses. And truth be told, his accuracy is a little bit better, but he's still not overly accurate. But they're setting him up with the offense that he's constantly in motion, and that's really allowing his athleticism to take off and open up the passing game, because they have to constantly worry about him running, that it opens up throwing lanes. I took Kelce 11th pick first round and got hate for it. Yeah, listen, I got him in the second round. His ADP dropped. He dropped out of the first round in the league that I'm now 10-2 in, and I have clinched a first round bye, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And yeah, listen, I was happy to get him in the second round. He's been one of the biggest reasons I'm able to sit here with a 10-2 record. My other league 7-5, much more frustrating for me. You're welcome, Erwin. Exactly. I agree with you 100% with the running backs, boss. My second year playing fantasy, much better this year. Currently on 5-game winning streak in both leagues, 8-3, 7-4. Yeah, listen, those are good records. I'm the 7-5 team I'm definitely frustrated with, because I scored so many points this week, but I had the misfortune to go against Josh Jacobs. That's just how it goes. That's the fluky nature of fantasy football. Should I start Campbell or Pickens? I would start Pickens, because I think that the Steelers might be in a situation where they got to play from behind, and we know Kenny Pickett has a good rapport with Pickens. I'm honestly considering Kelce first pick overall. He's so consistent. Yeah, listen, it's a little outside the box. I'm not going to lie, but he is going to be 35. That's the only thing I have to mention there, is that Kelce's going to be 35 next season, which is a little scary. First overall pick, I still go Justin Jefferson, and I'm pretty. If the draft was tomorrow, it would be Justin Jefferson. I just think he's just so good. And again, I'm going to go receiver. I think Devontae Adams is getting a little bit up there in age, so I got to start worrying about him with some soft tissue injuries. So that's why I'm going to go Jefferson. But hey, listen, I respect that if you have a conviction, and really Kelce has given you such a major advantage, and myself on my 10-2 team has given me such an advantage over everybody else, because Andrews really hasn't been that great since September. Up 121-71, my opponent has Taylor and Pittman. Wow. So what is that, 50 points? He needs 50 points out of Taylor and Pittman. It's going to be close. I don't think he's going to get there. I don't think he's getting 50 points out of both of those guys. I think Pittman will be probably 15, and let's say Taylor gets 25. I think you're good. I don't think you're going to be caught. Lost by 1 point, had Evan Engram and ETN. Oh, man, that's rough. Hey, listen, I had a game this year where I lost by 0.32, and I'm still having nightmares about it. And that's that 7-5 team. I really should be 8-4. So if I wind up missing the playoffs, it's going to be because of that. Yeah, nothing you could do about that. Being 34 was scary enough, which is why I skipped on Kelce. But then the guy is the GOAT. Yep, the tight ends, even at 34, probably still 35. Yeah, he very well could be. Listen, I don't know if you guys remember, Tony Gonzalez, he was productive all the way through the end. So I think Kelce plays a little bit more of a hard nose, stick his nose into it than Tony Gonzalez. Gonzalez was more finesse, but Gonzalez all the way to the end was a tight end one. Tom Brady's Travis Kelce of quarterbacks. Yeah, I could definitely see that, JL. How would you rate Breece Hall next year? Breece Hall's a late first round pick as long as the medicals check out. He's definitely a late first round pick. I'm up to 124-91. My opponent has Taylor. I think I have a chance. 34 points for Taylor. 115. Was that 15, 24 points? That's going to be close. God, Pittsburgh's defense sucks, Erwin. So that's going to be close. Not sure about that one. I'll be thinking about you tonight watching this game. I think it's going to be close. I'm not going to lie. Taylor's been good. And, I think Taylor can still win his owners fantasy leagues. And on that team that I'm 10-2, I have Jonathan Taylor as well. I had the number one pick in that league, and I took Taylor against my better judgment. I should have took Justin Jefferson. But I went with Taylor. But honestly, he's been good since he's come back. And I always, I've said this before, I compare him to Saquon Barkley a couple of years ago when Barkley won me a title. Barkley had a high ankle sprain during the season, missed like 3 or 4 games, came back, and then he was unbelievable in December. That helped me win my league. So I think that Taylor could do that. How do you feel about Lamar this week? I have Watson, but kind of don't want to. Yeah, you got to start Lamar over Watson. Watson's got a lot of rust he's got to work off. Lamar Jackson, it's not the best matchup. Denver's defense has been really good. I'm a little nervous about that matchup. I think, but Jackson is just to me the better option because Watson. He's just, how much running is Watson going to do? They're playing the Texans. They should get up on that game early. They'll probably run the ball a lot to take pressure off of Watson so he doesn't have to do too much. So I'm going Jackson. Watson look back in preseason. He didn't look great, but I'm not worried about Watson, honestly. I think he's going to be just fine. And next season, I'm all in on Deshaun Watson. He might actually bring the best value out of those 6 quarterbacks, 7 quarterbacks I talked about, the dual threat quarterbacks. He might be the guy I end up with because he might have the best value where I can get him in maybe the 5th round. He's not going to play enough this season to where his ADP is going to spike. So while everybody else takes Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, I might be able to get him in the 5th round, and I would be perfectly happy with that. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, I could totally see myself drafting Deshaun Watson under such a setup. Pittsburgh's D is improving with Watt back if they ball out today. What do you think of Steelers D the rest of the season? I don't think they're going to be that great. Steelers defense is just not that good. The team, it's a clear rebuild. I don't like the team on both sides of the ball. Watson has been working out with the cheerleaders. He'll be fine. Yeah, right. Okay. I get it. Listen, it is kind of just, it is what it is. I don't even really know what to say about that anymore. The thing is that really is crazy about the whole Deshaun Watson thing. I don't know if anybody's seen his girlfriend. So, her name is Jillian A. She's like a singer. She is downright gorgeous. I don't know if anybody's, gone on Instagram and seen her Instagram or whatnot. And she stuck by him through all of this, which is crazy to me. But she's absolutely stunning. Like just a complete knockout, a 10, whatever you want to call her. For him to be fooling around on her, it just shows you what a scumbag he is. He doesn't realize what he has. What round do you think Justin Fields gets drafted? That's tougher. I think Fields could go in the 4th round. If he doesn't play again this season, I think he'll be in maybe the 5th round range. I think Josh Allen's still going to go first. I think Jalen Hurts is going to go second, or Pat Mahomes. I think it's probably going to be Allen still first, and Mahomes, Hurts 2, 3. I'm trying to think who would be next. That's kind of hard to say. It's not going to be Kyler Murray, obviously. And I don't want anything to do with Kyler Murray. Yes, she could be in it for the money. You're absolutely right. I think Fields could drop to the 5th round. Watson, 5th round, 6th round. So I'm fine with either one of those guys. I think Lamar Jackson could also drop. He hasn't had the greatest season. So, I might let everybody take Hurts, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and then wait and take somebody like a Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson. I'd even be fine taking Lamar Jackson again. He even might be with the new team. So, we'll say, yeah, he's worth $300 million. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? She's got a singing career too. I don't know how successful she is, but it's crazy. You guys got to see this. She's absolutely stunning. Like I just don't get it. But he clearly has a problem. There's no doubt about it. But so even Justin Herbert, his value might drop a little bit. And Justin Herbert, I absolutely love his playoff schedule this season. And we saw how good Herbert was yesterday. I think he's going to be gangbusters the rest of the season. Mike Williams will come back. I don't know if Mike Williams will return this week, but when he comes back and joins Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and Gerald Everett and Josh Palmer, that's a lot of weapons for Justin Herbert to be throwing to. I think he's going to absolutely rock it out all the way through the fantasy playoffs. So if you're a Justin Herbert owner and you do those lean times during the course of the season, I think it's just going to get, you're going to be rewarded, once the fantasy playoffs arrive. So, I think you just got to have a little bit more patience because I think he's just right on the cusp of it right now. All right, guys. So that's it for the Monday stream. I'm going to check out here. It was a good stream for you guys. Mark, I think Lamar Jackson's going to go probably in the 5th round. And yeah, Jeff, there was a lot of potential points that were dropped for sure. There were a lot of touchdown passes that were dropped. Jackson threw a couple of good ones, one to Mark Andrews, one to Demarcus Robinson. So that was definitely a letdown for me as a Lamar Jackson owner. I think the day could have certainly been better. It hasn't been working, the offense for the Ravens. It just hasn't been working. I think that whoever's calling plays, I don't remember who the play caller is for Baltimore, but I think they really need to consider a change. And the thing is too, I'm really curious to see will Lamar Jackson stay with Baltimore. They haven't signed him yet. I think there's some hurt feelings. There's some bad, mojo going on between the sides. If he does walk Lamar Jackson, I could see him going to the Commanders. That's for sure. I mean, listen, if Jeff Bezos buys the Commanders, I could totally see him ponying up for Lamar Jackson. I mean, could you guys see that? Lamar Jackson with the Commanders? Absolutely 100%. Let me think. Where else could he go? So I'm going to stick around for a few minutes because it's a good question. Maybe the Raiders. Are they not sold on Carr? No, I don't think he's going to go to the Jets. I mean, listen, stranger things have happened. That could happen. How about the Saints? Could he go to the Saints? Definitely. That could happen. Where is Sean Payton going to end up as a head coach? Wherever Sean Payton ends up, maybe he brings in Lamar Jackson. So that's definitely possible. I think the Saints are a possibility. I think the Commanders, I don't know. That one's standing out to me the most. Carolina, could they do Carolina? I think Carolina's going to draft CJ Stroud ultimately, or the kid from USC, Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams, by the way, Stroud's getting all the hype for the draft. Yeah, Michael P., if Tom Brady retires, it could be Tampa. You're right. CJ Stroud has gotten a lot of the draft hype. Caleb Williams, the USC kid, just might even be better. So we have to watch that. And this is a deep quarterback class this season. You have Sam Hartman, too, from Wake Forest. You have the Alabama kid. There's certainly a lot of blue chip guys that are coming out. Replace Cousins. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota is possible. Wouldn't you love to see Lamar Jackson in Minnesota with the Dome? That would be unbelievable. The Indianapolis Colts. That's another possibility. So, yeah, there's quite a few teams if Jackson doesn't re-up there. So, we just got to see what happens. But, yeah, that one I'm interested to see. And I'm not shying away from Lamar Jackson. Green Bay, I think Rodgers is coming back. He's making too much money. I don't think Rodgers is going anywhere. But, as far as Lamar Jackson, I'm not going to shy away from him next year. He's still got that extreme dual threat to his game. And, there's very few players that can do what Lamar Jackson does on a football field and accrue, those kind of fantasy football points. He's had 2 games this season where he went over 40 fantasy points. I think that's other than Jalen Hurts, even Lamar, Pat Mahomes does most of his damage through the air. Is not as much of a runner. It's harder for him to reach that 40-point plateau, whereas Hurts and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who runs a lot. And you also got to wonder when Josh Allen's going to stop running. He's getting, not that he's getting old, but he's starting to inch up there in age. So will Josh Allen stop running soon? I don't know. Any kind of drop off there is going to ding his fantasy football value going forward. So I really don't know if that's going to happen there. Justin Fields definitely would have been an O-line with progress. Yeah, the Bears, wherever they draft, they have to take an offensive lineman, the Chicago Bears. They absolutely need to address the offensive line. It's horrendous. They got to get somebody on defense too. Will Anderson is the top defender in the draft. He's just a ferocious, scary pass rusher. That he'll be tempting for the Bears if they're in that position to possibly get him. I think it's unfair, what they've done to Fields. He's got no weapons to throw to. He's got no offensive line blocking for him. So the fact that he's doing this well with those roadblocks in front of him speaks to how impactful he's been this season and how he is really doing well on the learning curve, this season. And again, I was intrigued by him in the preseason. I said to draft him instead of Trey Lance because Fields was coming so much cheaper. And of course, Trey Lance only lasted a couple of weeks. And now look how that turned out. So, I'm definitely curious to see what happens there. So, but anyway, all right, guys. So I'm definitely going to get going this time. Make sure you watch the games tonight. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Maybe I will do another stream tomorrow just because these are fun. And so look for the notification there, and we'll go from there. All right. So tomorrow's stream to do the waiver wire, I think sounds like a good idea. So I will see you guys then. Take care, everybody.